Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Neville and welcome to Selective Imagery. I started taking pictures when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I really shoot just about everything. And here's some samples of what I take, whether it be sunrises, alligators, birds. It's what I do a lot of right now. But I also do macro. I'll do small animals, and I'll do street photography, and I'll use my old cameras to take some black and white photos with. So here's a sample of one of my cameras coming up. So I'm a generalist, but right now I'm focused a lot on wildlife and birds in particular. So I hope you enjoy my channel, and let's get right to the show. Welcome to a visit with Black Necked Stilts and friends. So before we look at some pictures and video clips of the Black Necked Stilt, let's give you a little bit of information about them. They're about 14 inches in size. They're black and white with really long legs that are either red or pink. Upper parts of the head, neck, and back are black, and lower parts are white. And they have a long black bill. Now, they make ground nests, which could be nothing more than some vegetation along the ground or near the water. They lay 3 to 5 eggs. Incubation period is 22 to 26 days, and the male incubates during the day and the female incubates at night. Fledging is in 28 to 32 days, and the male and the female both feed the young, and they eat aquatic insects. Now, when you think of birds with long legs, you probably think, well, the ostrich, the flamingo, but the legs on these birds can be up to 10 inches in length, and it may be the longest legs in the world, bird world population, when you look at the proportion of the leg size to the body. It really stands out, and it is one of the prettiest shorebirds that you're going to find anywhere. So I hope you enjoy the upcoming stills and video clips. Thank you. So here we start with the stills, and what makes these black-necked stilts so interesting is really comes down to the legs. I mean, the way they can articulate the legs, the way they move around, the different poses like this one are just fantastic. And this one, eventually it would just fly up in the air and kind of flutter a little bit and land in a different spot. And it was just so much fun to watch. And it really is a gorgeous bird, but the legs really make that bird. So now we're going to move into some video, and you could watch it feeding. And, with the water level being low like it is, the grasses are once again growing at a record pace, and we have a lot of patches of algae, especially against the shore, that are really getting pretty dense. Perfect breeding grounds for the insects, and usually you don't see this bird. You may see one at one end of the pond, usually very far away on occasion when the water level is normal. But this is like the only bird that really may show up in numbers once this water level is dropped down, because, like I said, you have the grasses exposed, they're growing really fast, attracts a lot of insects, and so you'll get more stilts that are going to show up. And that's about the only thing that's going to show up more in any kind of quantity. Whereas because the water level's low, you don't see that many ospreys. They're not going to be feeding very much. The water level's too low for them. And other birds are few and far between. Many times, we would have dozens and dozens of wood storks, and we just don't have that anymore. And later on, you'll see a wood stork in a video clip, because there was one. But so on the plus side, about the only plus side of all this water management that the park likes to do is it does attract this particular bird to the area. But other than that, the cons far outweigh the benefits, in my opinion. And you folks that have followed me for a while pretty much know how I feel about this situation. But let's enjoy this video, the remaining part of it. I mean, the bird is just so maneuverable with those legs. It really is crazy to watch, and you just shake your head how it definitely disproportionate with the size of the body. You would think legs that long, the body would be, you know, twice as big as it is. So we're going to have one still here in a moment, followed by another video clip. I mean, it really just pokes and pokes and pokes to try to find those bugs. Yeah, I don't know how many of my viewership actually gets to see this bird where they live. And like I said, I don't see it that often. And believe it or not, this video was all that you're seeing, that you'll see in this show, is all with the 800 PF on the Z9, all handheld. In some cases, I shot it with the 2.3 times crop in DX mode for video, and was able to hand hold it, and here it's fluttering around. Really fun to watch it. I don't know why it does that. It just kind of like stays, doesn't really fly far away. It's like it's getting the airborne view to look down and see where, you know, it might see more bugs. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was, but it did do that several times. Like I said, this was all 4K 120. Many of these clips were in the DX crop mode for video, and I'm shocked. I had a very steady hand this day. I was very lucky. And I'll show you some stills. And look at the spread, the legs when it's walking, how far apart they could be. And the way they just bend, and it's just crazy. I love this shot when it's looking at me. Here you're going to see it going through a bathing process, and this one was not slowed down, so this is full speed. And it really does some good dunking here to get clean. Then a tricolor heron decides to come over and pay a visit. Stilt probably found it to be a little annoying and wish it wasn't hanging around. As you'll see in a minute, it gets pretty darn close. Kind of like crowds in on the space for a second or two and realizes it's not wanted there. But the black and white pattern on this bird is very pretty, obviously. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't really a bright day, so you couldn't really get the eyes where they'd be lit up red if the light was hitting it, which would have been nice. Now we're going to move on to some clips of Wood Stork playing with the water. I don't know why it was doing that. And here it is in slow motion, showing the process where, you know, it has its bill in the water, and it's open, partially open, and then it, you know, shuffles that foot around and tries to disturb, you know, make something come out of hiding or whatever that might head towards its mouth that it can get. And this is just a routine that it will just do for hours on end. Now here it has a fish. Here's a quandary. It has a fish and it has some greenery, some weeds with it, and it doesn't want the weeds. So unfortunately, it makes a stupid mistake and it drops the fish back in the water, and then it loses track of it because the fish probably swam off. I'm sure that it did, because for the rest of this video clip, it's basically searching to try to find that fish that it dropped back in the water. So because it didn't want a balanced diet and it didn't want to have any greens with the fish, it lost out on the opportunity. I felt bad for it in a way, but then, you know, part of me said that it wasn't a smart move. Just take that little bit of grass with you when you eat the fish. Now eventually it finds another one, and then it finds a small eel to eat as well, and then goes back to the moving of the foot with the bill in the water, and then lifted up its wing. And now we move on to a quick video clip. Like I said, it's kind of sad because normally we see, you know, I hate to say in the old days because it was only a few years ago. I mean, we would see dozens and dozens of these wood storks, and they'd all be lined up and in, you know, marching order, going back and forth and feeding on the marsh side of the pond. And we didn't really have that last year, and it doesn't look like we're going to have it this year. So we had that great egret flyby. We move on to a video clip of a tricolored heron feeding. Very common for it to spread its wings out. It blocks the sun a little bit, makes it easier for it to see the fish. And I wouldn't be surprised if the shade in the water from the wings being spread out might even get the fish to kind of head towards the shade, thinking they're going to cool off. But in the end, it just benefits the bird. But the few birds we did have today pretty much congregated in the same area on the pond side. It was high tide on the marsh side, so there wasn't anything over there. And we had the Yellowlegs that showed up, and you could see all the algae growth. And that one decided to fly around a little bit as well. And there was an Anhinga This was in a different area of the park. And of course, we still have our friends, the alligators. They're going to be out every day now for quite a while until we get into the winter months. But when you drive in early in the morning, and I'm talking before the sun comes up, you'll see the small heads of the baby gators when you look in the water. And the larger ones tend to show up when the sun is really higher up in the sky. You start getting a little bit more warmth, and then the larger ones start to appear. And you'll get a picture here of a baby one that has grasses on top of its head. You can see the eye there. And this will be the last video. And this is just a fairly large gator going on the grassy knoll, or that I'm nicknaming Gator Island. That's just me. But as it crawls up here to lay down, it will eventually run into another gator that's there, which you'll see in a moment. There it is. Now, when it originally plops itself down here, you think, okay, there's a little bit of separation there. And then it changes its mind and it decides it's going to reorientate its body on the grass and start swinging its tail around. And you're thinking, man, if it hits that other gator in the snout, who knows what might happen. But it's amazing that it drags the tail around and it never hits the other gator. I thought that was pretty neat. And that's pretty much it for the show today. So please, if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share with your friends. I appreciate your support. And until next time, as I say, enjoy life, capture some of it, get out there and shoot with your friends, join a camera club, have a good time. Take care until next time.